I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast. Your boy David Bella, 1/4 of the Black Wealth Renaissance. Check it out with my co-host Jalen. How you feeling, my brother?
What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Jalen, man. Another quarter of the Black Wealth Renaissance. Checking in, feeling good, feeling great, man. It's a Friday.
Yes,
we
sir.
got a brother that's he dropping knowledge, man. We got an in-house guest, as y'all can see. So look, the energy crazy. I'm loving it, man.
Yeah, man. This has already been a great conversation we have been having before this podcast. So we already know this is about to be a dope ass episode. So before I get to introducing my brother, I do want to ask everybody, if you're watching this, to go ahead, watching or listening, like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Give us some feedback on how we doing with this. We love to hear from y'all. But yeah, now I gotta introduce my brother, man. So y'all, we got a good brother out here in the DFW, originally from Chicago. He's killing it in the trucking industry. He currently works as an private investigator.
Do a little bit of investigation.
Little investigation. He works as an investigator, and he's helping people stay compliant in the trucking industry. Most importantly, that's one of the biggest things that I'm glad my brother reached out to us so we could really get this information out there. He's been in the trucking industry for over 10 years, and he's helping our people stay there, not just buy a truck and get there. So I want to introduce my brother Eric Ball. Eric, how you living?
I'm great, man. Appreciate you guys for having me on this platform with you guys, so we be able to educate the people.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you coming on, my dog, as always, man. This is, like I said, this is gonna be a special one, y'all. We was having a dope conversation before this. So Eric, bro, to kick this thing off, as we always do, we just want to ask you, like, what was your start into entrepreneurship?
My start came watching my stepfather. He raised me. He started in the car business where, he was selling used cars. Then from there, he got into real estate. Then my mom got into daycare. So just over the years of me seeing them hustle and seeing them start, businesses without even having a high school diploma, it just, pushed me and showed me, close up and firsthand that hard work pays off. And especially if you bet on yourself and believe in yourself.
That's powerful. And can we talk, what was your first entrepreneur endeavor? What was your first taste, and what got you started?
Oh man, I was as a shorty, man, I was like a little hustler, because that's all I seen. I remember, buying my first car and turning around and flipping it, a used car. You go buy a used car for $500-$600, then you turn around, you sell it for $1,000. You look up, shit, that's a quick $400-$500 profit. So, you 16, 17 years old, you doing stuff like that. I mean, you look up in 1 month, you didn't make, $2-3 grand. You got the average, high school kid, they go out, they may work at McDonald's or something, or $7.25 an hour, $8. So when you able to just do that, I mean, that was like a easy, quick little hustle. You can go to a public auction and bid on a car, for less than $1,000, turn around and sell it, above what you paid, throw an extra $500 or above what you paid, and boom, that go a quick $500 you done made in your pocket.
Hey man, and that's a good hustle, and that's a hustle that I think a lot of people kind of sleep on. My cousin, he actually got his start like that and he now has a full-blown car dealership, but that's the same thing he was doing, man. He started off washing cars, then he just went into the flipping, and I saw him work his way up, and I was just like, damn, man, it's really not that hard.
It's not. It's a lot of people don't even really talk about the used car, business or whatnot. It's fairly cheap to get in. You can partner with 2 or 3 people if you just want to really come out a couple of $100. Other than that, you can, all you kind of need is like a little storefront, that they get approved by the state saying that you can, sell cars out of that location. Spend about maybe $1,500-$1,600 getting all your information, to get started, and then, get insurance and stuff like that. Then after that, you have access to the public auction. You got access to the, the dealer's auction and stuff like that. And boom, you can go in as low as $5,000 and go get you 2-3 cars. And then you turn around, you go get a car for, 2 cars or 3 cars for $1,500 a pop. That's $4,500. you turn around, you look up, you may make anywhere between $7,000 to $1,000 per car, or 5,000.
And the best part about it, like whenever you first started out, whenever you was doing this, it wasn't like you went and you had to get all that stuff at first. You just was getting cars. Legally, you can sell a couple cars first before you have to go and get all that stuff, correct?
Oh, yeah. You can sell a couple of cars. Most states, they allow you to sell up to like 5 cars. And after that, you're supposed to actually have a dealer's license. But it's ways around it. There's ways around it. So, yeah.
So after, you started off with your car entrepreneurship, what was the next step for you? How did you navigate and move and pivot from that?
Well, I ended up, going to college when I, getting a degree. And then from there, I ended up getting a 9 to 5. And I remember when I, growing up, my mom always talked about saving, right? And I came on in my career early on at 22 years old. And I remember, with me working up, I think I saved maybe 20 grand. I had a couple of situations that went on within my family where I had to help the family out, and then I blew through that money. And so I came back around, and when I came back around from those two, situations that had happened in my family, but thank God I was able to help them out. And so I looked up, I had maybe 2 grand in my account. And so I went to a business meeting one day with a mentor of mine, and in that meeting, it was like they offered me to be a part of a investment deal, and all I needed was like 30 grand. And at that time, I didn't even have 30 grand. I'm like 23 years old. I didn't have that type of bread. And, I was like, man, like I felt real little at the time. So I'm like, okay, I got to make the best of my opportunity. And my opportunity was I got a 9 to 5 where Danny got unlimited overtime, and I'm about to just work. Where I looked up, and a year and a half, I had saved over 6 figures, but I was very disciplined. Like, for instance, I made sure where I live, it was nice, but it wasn't like the most, it wasn't the greatest, apartment complex. But, coming from the hood, it was better than where I come from. So I really didn't look at, the niceness of it. I looked at it like, okay, it ain't like people selling drugs or people robbing, shooting, and killing in this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay over here. I don't have roaches or rats, so I'm cool. So the rent was real cheap. I wanted it to be real cheap so I can save. In addition to that, I didn't eat out. I didn't go out, nothing. So for like a year and a half, 2 years, I literally just worked like 80, 90 hours, but I was focused, and I saved over like 6 figures, And from there, I was like, never again, when I'm ever sitting at a table and somebody say, hey, you want to invest, and I need, all you need is 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. I was like, I would never be able to not, interact in those type conversations again.
So whenever after you had that conversation with people, I would like to dive more into that mentality with it. Like, because people here like, man, you ain't do nothing. You just, you was living below your means like that. You went save 6 figures. Like, whenever you were going through that process, like, how did you stay disciplined in that? Because I know once you start seeing that bank account grow, a lot of people, they'll start losing sight of that vision. So how did you stay in that?
Man, honestly, it was one of them things like, okay, I'm like, man, every 3 months I want to save 30,000. So that was my thought process, right? So when I was actually saving the 30,000 in a month, month and a half, 2 months, I was like, man, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? So anytime I even thought about buying something, right? Just say if I wanted to go buy me some Gucci shoes or something, it's $1,000. Just the mere fact that I thought about it, I literally took that money and I threw it in the savings account. And it's like, if the thought came in my head to go do it, and I literally took that money and I threw it in the savings account, because it was one of the things that I wanted to throw it in the savings account, because realistically, before I was trying to be that disciplined, I would have took that money and I would have spent it to buy those products, you know what I'm saying, that I really didn't need. So it was just one of the things. If the thought came, I took the money and I threw it in the savings account.
Now that's powerful. That's powerful, to where you can discipline yourself and you come across and be like, nah, man, I don't need that. And I know a lot of times, sometimes, stuff happen in life. You might have a messed up day, a fucked up day, or you're like, you know what? everything just going wrong. I'm about to go treat myself. Let me go buy these Gucci shoes, or let me go do this and all of that. How'd you keep yourself focused even on like some of those bad days? Because we all have that retail therapy sometimes that I'm just gonna go treat myself.
Family, man. Knowing that, my family can rely on me and I can literally just go touch, money and just help my family, you know what I'm saying? Like that literally just kept me super disciplined. Like I don't live my life just, based on like my immediate household. What I mean by that, my daughter, my wife and myself. I base my life, based around family, from my grandmother to my mother, my sister, my brother, my nieces, and my nephews. And I'm like, if I'm literally trying to take care and help, what I'm saying, a big old village, I got to make sure that I stay on top of my game, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what really kept me, disciplined, and to know that I had the funds when two, saying situations occurred in my family where I was able to help and I was able to afford to help my family, man. That was like one of the most rewarding feelings ever. So like, when I look up and the way I live now, I tell a person, if I want to, I can go and I can go get that $100 car, but I don't really do it because I look at, my family, what I'm saying, my brother's kids, they kids. So, my cousins who more like brothers to me and they kids. And that's just how I live.
That's family is a major piece. That's one of the strongest motivators. I know we ask people sometimes like what their why is, and I know that's a strong motivator for it. Should be anybody. Like you need something to ground you, especially like whenever you looking at paper coming in and being like, I could spend it on myself. So that's major. So
Growing up in the projects, right? I remember when because I kind of had like a selfish mindset as a kid. Of course, you want to keep up with the Joneses, you want the latest Jordans and all that. And so my mom, you know, um, she used to show me how, she didn't have like bras. She used to show me how she struggled to give me, the latest kicks or something like that, right? And I remember she would give me all her bills, and then she would give me her work check, and then barely $200 was left, and I'm like 8, 9 years old, you know what I'm saying? But she would still make a way, whereas she was getting those shoes. So growing up, yes, I mean my parents, they didn't always just have early on. They really started gaining wealth when I most so got like in college, you know what I'm saying? I'm out the house, so but early on it was like it was a struggle, So when I look at that as well, it's like my mom, she was disciplined. She could have been that mother that, put her kids on the back burner, made sure that her kids didn't have. So I definitely want to return the favor now that I'm able to actually, what I'm saying, go out and work hard and look out for her like she did me.
right. So Eric, man, I wanna walk further into your story. So you saved up all this money. What was the next play? Like,
Man, honestly, I had got addicted to just saving money. It was literally just, I used to literally just come in my head. I want to save 10,000 this week. What I'm gonna do to save 10,000? And only thing I had was just my regular job, and I used to tell people that if I didn't have my job and my job didn't pay great money, that, hey, I would have went out and I would have probably got a second job. But at the time, I mean, I was just saving money and I didn't know what to do with it. And then finally, right, I went back to my roots, and my roots was cars. So and I was doing it as a kid. So I ended up getting introduced to one of my business partner, which was an Asian guy. He didn't know much about the car industry, but he had a love for cars. He always bought exotic cars and stuff. So I knew a lot about the industry. So he had a location and all that, and we ended up coming together, doing a collaboration. And he taught me a lot about just investing and business or whatnot from a foreigner standpoint. Coming from the African American community, we don't get taught some of the stuff that this guy actually taught me firsthand. Business, still to this day, he more like a big brother. He's an older guy. He been self-employed since he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And so Frank and we ended up partnering together. We was carrying about 20 to 30 cars, on a lot together. And So what happened with me being busy working a 9 to 5, Frank had multiple businesses going. I trusted some friends or whatnot to run it. Kind of find out friends was stealing, from the company. And so, then I'm big on customer service. So when my customers was coming back and they was complaining about like, hey, I put down a $1,500 down payment. I should be done paying for this car. But then I look at the books showing that they owe $500. And then, I end up finding out on the front end, the $1,500 down payment, my employees, they didn't actually put down, they didn't, in the books, they put down 1,000 and stole 5. So I was looking up, and we look up, we like, man, the people that work for us, they stealing so much money, they making more money than us. In addition to that, I could have kept it open, but at the same time, I felt bad because I'm big on customer service. My name is everything. And the fact that they was making my name look bad and I couldn't be there physically to actually run it, we ended up just closing it down. So I just kind of went back to just nickel and dime. And what I mean by that is I just buy 2 and 3 cars. And then that way, I just sell them on my spare time versus depending on somebody else to run a lot.
Man, that's that story right there, bro. I know that shit probably like just pissed you off, but I'm pretty sure it was a great learning lesson for you too, because you learned that, sometimes you can't put just friends in certain positions just because they're your friend, just because they the homie. Sometimes you can't put them in certain positions. And I kind of want to ask you though, my brother, I got to know, what kind of job were you doing where you was just making 10 bands a damn week, bro?
He said, what kind of job you was doing? You making 10 bands a week? Some of everything, man. I was doing a lot of like private security. I was doing my regular 9 to 5. Overtime. I was doing that, a lot of overtime. We was getting paid great money on overtime, unlimited overtime, In addition to that, I just always had a lot of like little side hustles and stuff, that I was doing on the side as well. So I wasn't doing nothing illegal, but anything to help, help me, attain my goal, I was making it happen.
In other words, you were sacrificing your free time too, though, right?
Oh, like, man. Yeah, I ain't had no life.
A lot of people, they a lot of people,
like 22 to 29, man, I didn't go out. I ain't even know Dallas. I ain't know the city. I ain't go nowhere. Hey, it'd be times I go meet up with the homies and I could be there for like 10 minutes and somebody hit me on the phone like, yo, hey, you want to come and work 4 hours and you can make $1,000? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gone. I tell the homies like, see you.
Hey, but a lot of people, they wouldn't be thinking like that. A lot of people would be like, just making $10,000 a week. He got to be in sales or something like that. Right. They don't understand sometimes the sacrifice. I'm pretty sure you wasn't even really sleeping like that if you was just getting it out the mud like that.
Nope.
Like, you got to make some of those sacrifices though to hit those goals and really get to where you want to get. And that was really just the whole point I was just trying to get to and just trying to drive home right there.
Sacrifice, man, is the key. You sacrifice, a year or two, you look up for the rest of your life, you can be set.
Now that's powerful.
So Eric, my brother, now I want to keep moving with it. So you did the car lot. That didn't work out exactly the way as planned. When did the trucking come into play for you?
The trucking came in play was I got sent to go to trucking school where you learn the law, regulations, how to inspect trucks, everything that the federal government require you to know, far as, law, inspecting trucks, regulation, all that. So I ended up going to a school. I went to the school, and when I went, me being a city kid, I didn't too much care to be there. And then in addition to that, it wasn't a lot of, brothers, that was a part of that, the industry or whatnot. So I'm like, man, I remember being in class and people would be like, yeah, that truck tractor. And I'm like, what the hell is a truck tractor? So I'm Googling on my phone, truck tractor, you know what I'm saying? And they'd be like, yeah, that semi-trailer or that reefer or that flatbed. I'm like, what is a flatbed? So I Google on my phone, flatbed. Because I didn't want to look like an idiot raising my hand in class like, yo, what is a flatbed? You know what I'm saying? So I'm literally Googling terms. And so what made it interesting is because I'm real big on learning. So I'm like, I found myself like glued in because I'm learning, you know what I'm saying? Like it's stimulating my mind. And then from there, I just literally just locked in. Like, man, I felt like a kid in preschool again, like learning your ABCs and stuff because I did not know this information. So it made me like, it made me lock in. It made me wanted to know something that I didn't have a clue about. You know what I'm saying? The way that I live life, the way that I was raised, don't be afraid of brand new stuff. You know what I'm saying? If when you look at your life, right, every age, right, there's like a chapter in your book of life. If you done the same stuff age 22, 23, 24, you ain't growing. So when I looked at that, right, during that age, during that year, I looked at it like, man, this is something that I ain't never been exposed to. I never knew. So at minimum, I can add this to my arsenal of stuff that I'm learning and that I can actually, one day potentially tell my nephews or something, hey, I know about this, I know about that. So that's how I look at life.
And this class you went to, this was something you signed up for yourself, or this was like continuing education for work type stuff?
It was continuing education for work.
Hey, I
Yeah.
love it. So you took knowledge that you had to get for your job,
Right,
and then leveraged it for yourself.
right,
Mm.
and leverage it. I mean, I leverage it for the people, be honest with you, when I seen that we lack knowledge.
But nah, still, like, I'm just saying, like, because people always, whenever we always looking at trying to like find our way into entrepreneurship or like finding our way in business, we think we have to go outside of everything that we already know and everything that we do. Whereas like your 9 to 5 can oftentimes provide you with the tools and resources to get away from your 9 to 5.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
I got several foreigner homies. I got a good friend of mine. He owned a convenience store for years, and he started off in 7-Eleven as a regular store clerk. And then he went to the shift manager. Then he went to the store manager underneath the owner. And he learned everything about running 7-Eleven. He learned who they order their stuff, how you order your stuff, how you keep up with, payroll. He learned everything, right? He did that for like 5 years. And now this guy literally owns his own convenience store. He's been in business since 2006. Where he make down to 30 bands a month off a convenience store. But what he did was he went in, he worked at 9 to 5, and he treated that 9 to 5 with a purpose. Some people, it's like y'all, they want to be entrepreneurs, but then when you go to your 9 to 5, all you do is complain.
Mm.
That's all you do is complain. So when it comes to you really, really grinding out being an entrepreneur, you're gonna do the same thing anyway. You're gonna complain because work ethic is work ethic no matter where it's at. Even when I play sports, I gave it 110%. When I go work at 9 to 5, I get 110%. When I, as an entrepreneur, I give 110%. So that's that either you got that in you or you don't. Point blank, period.
Mm. So since you say, either you got it and you don't, do you think there's a way like to change that to develop a better work ethic?
Yes. One, you can read, books and material, stuff like that. You surround yourself around, a group of people that's actually out here doing it that can inspire you, push you, motivate you. Grant yourself an accountability partner or a mentor, but if you're going to get those particular people in your life, you gotta be up for, criticism. When somebody criticizes you, you got to be able to take it. You can't be sitting back. You can't take it personal. Yeah, because most people that's out here, man, that want to see you win, they gonna knock on your door and they gonna say, yo, you should do this way. Oh, you shouldn't do this or do that. Anytime somebody give me what I call positive feedback, or even if they don't know me, on social media, they DM me and say, yo, I ain't like what you done, this and that. For one, guess what? You didn't even have to take time out of your day to even tell me what you just told me. So that alone, I'm gonna give you brownie points. I'm gonna be like, let me tell you something. God do use people to basically grab your attention. God, and first thing I get to stand in my head, maybe God used this person to grab my attention.
I like that. It's really a perspective thing when it comes down to it. Like if you going, like you saying, if you at your 9 to 5, all you do is complain. All you looking for is the bad. It's gonna be the same thing. It's all about the way you come at it. So, okay, you got
Yeah, I know. I wanted to just ask, what was your first, like, how was it? Did you go out and get you a truck after learning and acquiring all this knowledge, or how'd you, after you went to school, what was the next step in that industry?
Next step I wanted to do, I just really just wanted to learn it. So for years, I literally just soaked up knowledge, constantly doing continual education, working with people that have been in the industry longer than me. You know what I'm saying? That was in my field of work, getting underneath them, just constantly learning and learning and learning. Still today, I still learning every day. In addition to that, I had access to what I call the gurus. What I mean by the gurus was people that was literally out there driving these trucks, turning these wheels, been in the industry 20 or 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm out there, I'm stopping and I'm dealing with owners that own, you know what I'm saying, 10, 20 trucks. You know, they've been in the industry for 30 years. So I'm getting the first-hand experience. So what I mean by that is when I'm out there, I'm actually interviewing them and they don't even understand. I'm interviewing them for free. Like, hey man, so how long you been in the industry? You know what I'm saying? What you think about the industry, right? How did you become successful in the industry? So I'm constantly picking people's brains for free. And it's people that's literally firsthand in the industry, right? And then they started giving me their number and they start basically saying, young brother, I like what you're doing. You don't understand, like learn your trade. Your trade is a gold mine. Everybody want to be affiliated or know somebody like you. It's not too many brothers that do what you do. Take it serious and stuff like that. So it became even more motivating to hear people that I was dealing with, you know what I'm saying, through my 9 to 5 motivated me to really learn in my craft. And so, of course, I just stayed motivated and stayed learning and learning and learning to get to where I'm at now.
So you learned this. When did you go ahead and purchase your first truck?
Actually, I did everything for my little brother. My little brother wanted to get into the trucking industry. And he was driving for a company. He came to me. So for years, for about a good year, I threw him off. I was like, man, I don't think my little brother ready, you know what I'm saying, for that. So bro, I'm ready. So he did his homework. And when he did his research, I knew he was serious because I already knew the information that he went out to research. And so I did it knowing that I didn't, you know what I'm saying, I didn't really have no love to be in the industry as an owner because I seen the high fines and penalties and how the quickest people was getting into the industry, they was basically, saying they was getting booted out, because of fines and penalties and because they wasn't keeping up with the regulation and standard compliance. And so, I just told my little brother, like, look, I'm gonna invest in you because, like I tell you, I'm big on family, so I want to see my little brother win. So from there, I basically opened up the company. Let him open up the company, and I invested, in it, and just kind of teaching him from the compliance side. And I gave him a few, and not a few dollars, but I gave him a nice significant chunk amount of money, which if I would have known what I knew, as far as when it came to actually entering into the industry, I would have never done what I did, but it was a learning experience.
Can you go a little bit deeper into that? What you mean? Like, if you'd have known what you'd have known, you wouldn't have did what you did?
Well, I went out and I cashed out. When you spending like, shit over 50 bands on a truck and trailer, you cashing out on that. That was bad. That was really, really bad.
Capital.
Yeah. And I mean, it didn't hurt me in anything like that financially, but it's just one of them things that you use other people's money to make money. Just point blank period. And so when I started, what happened was I also, saying in real estate as an investor. So I started noticing how real estate and trucks was so similar. I was like, man, all I got to do is do what I did with real estate and use other people's money, you know what I'm saying? And have this pay for itself instead of me, using my own money, and because when you look up, right, sometimes it's harder depending on the economy to get your money back. And then two, worst case scenario, all you gotta do is file bankruptcy. As long as you got your capital, you good. You got your money, you good. And that was my thought process. Yeah. But you live and learn. I end up, getting my money back, over time. Yeah.
So I do want to walk it back because you mentioned real estate. I kind of figured that came after the trucking part of your journey, but your trucking journey is a little bit different than I thought originally too. Because the way I was thinking traditionally how most people do it, they get the truck, they get the CDL, they drive it themselves, but you did it with your brother. So can we walk it back though before that and get into a little bit of your real estate journey? Like, when did that start for you?
Right after the cars. So my best friend, right after the cars, one of my frat brothers hit me up. He said, yo, I got this guy out of Atlanta, and he got this real estate, you know what I'm saying, like organization or company or whatnot. And, you know, he basically teaching people how to come in as investors. They do everything for you, this, and that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I'll log on to some of his Zoom calls, listen to him. And so, you know, the guy kind of require you to get educated before he would allow you to invest. And so, but he ended up gravitating to me or whatnot. And so what I ended up learning was, once he seen my finances, he wanted to immediately have me jumping in investing because he seen my credit score, and then he seen, you know, that I, you know, that I had capital. So he didn't disregard it, that, you know, that his initial approach was, you need to learn my system before I allow you to invest. So now he like, oh man, this guy got a, you know, 800 credit score, 6 figures. And no, hey, come on, I want you to invest. And so he turned me on to a location that was actually, the property was actually in Chicago. It was suburb of Chicago. Thank God I knew about the area. So he was like, yo, the property costs, you know, it's 25 grand. And you got, you know, basically you drop the 25 grand, you get your bread back in, you know, saying 2 to 3 weeks or whatnot. No. He said you'll get your bread back in 2 to 3 weeks, right? Like that. And so,
like some transactional funding type.
Yeah. So something like that. No, he said the property was 43,000, but I needed to put down 25,000 to secure the property or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So I gave him the 25 grand. I got the money back in like 2 to 3 weeks. And so when I got it back, I'm like, okay, it's dope. So then we turned around, and so we basically financed the property or whatnot. We did the hard money loan or whatnot. So I was just literally following this guy lead. I was uneducated about real estate, but my childhood friend had been telling me like, yo, he been in real estate, you know, as a wholesale, and he's just been doing his thing out in the Atlanta area himself. So, but you know how people say you don't do business with friends and family and all that, right? So he used to always try to get me to do business with him, but I used to be like, man, I didn't want to mix that company, right? But now today, I tell you right now, you do not do business with somebody you ain't never been to their house and you ain't never ate in their house. If you ain't got access to their home and their family, and don't do business with them, you end up like how I almost end up, and I'm about to explain it. And so I turned around. The guy basically he sold me the property, right, for 43,000. I'm not knowing, right? So he used my money to secure it, sold it to me for 43,000, gained $18,000 in profit without me even knowing this. You know what I'm saying? And so now it come time for him to actually go out to the property, start rehabbing the property and all that. So he was doing comps and he was stealing from the comps. So like, for instance, we had a construction budget, right? And the construction budget was like, I think it was like 40,000, right? To rehab this house. And so, and when you look at the market, the house was going for like 180, right? And so I'm like, cool. So if I got it for, you know, saying 43,000, 40 in it, 180. So that's essentially, that'd be about $80,000 profit, you know, give or take, walk away about 70, right? So that was my thought process, right? So the guy, he turned around, he started peeling from the comps. So he would submit documents showing that, hey, I need 10,000 for this, and there's a reason why. And so you'll look up, he'll get the $10,000, but he never really used the money on nothing. So after he then basically just took all the money out of the comps, he just disappeared. So I'm left with this property, and I'm like, what the hell? And now, you know, I didn't realize that he done down and stole all the damn construction money. So I'm definitely like, you know, now I'm nervous. Who I call? I call my boy, you know, that been in real estate, the friend that people say you don't do business with because they friends. And he literally walked me through the process, helped me save the property, helped me walk away, whereas I didn't lose nothing, and I ended up making 50,000 off that deal.
Can you get into that? Like, how did you turn that situation around? Cause and a little bit with when you were saying the comps, like you would mean like he was using the comparable properties in the area to like get you to put money up?
Basically, right. What happened is, if I'm wording them right, because I'm not the real estate guru, but like you get like a rehab budget, right? And based on what the guy was explaining it, you have to submit, you know what I'm saying, to the actually hard money loan lender, like documents showing that, hey, it's gonna cost me $10,000 to do the living room, the kitchen. So, and then what they do is they send $10,000 worth of materials. You go to Home Depot and you go and you say, I'm gonna put this type of paint in here, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. So you're getting all that information. So you send it over to the hard money loan, then they release a check. And so when they release a check, he's not doing that work. Yeah. So he's not doing that work.
Damn.
And so then, then he's telling me that, he's
just taking the money and running.
Yeah. And he's just leading me on. He's telling me just whatever he wanted me to tell him. And I'm believing him because, again, somebody turned me on to him. And I just didn't think somebody would just lie and just do you like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I reached out to my boy and I let him know what I had going on. And so when I reached out to my boy, he ended up like, yo, this is what we can do. We can go in. And then because the comps are so high, you can just kind of put it on the market. You can just sell it at this. Somebody may end up buying it. And then you can pay back all the loan money and this and that. So we put it on the market for like a higher price. And I think it was like 140 or something like that. And so somebody ended up buying it. And they was cool with it because the way they looked at it was they had a little room to wiggle, to work with. In addition to that, they ended up making the house better than what it is. And they put it on the market for a lot higher than what it was originally going for the 180. So they end up winning as well, But thank God for my boy, he really, really saved me with that deal. And from that point forward, in addition to that, a whole bunch of legal stuff came, big ups to some of my FBI connects. I reached out to them and they kind of told me that they had attorneys that was in on it. And sure enough, it was the attorney was in on it as well. So when I ended up confronting the attorney about the document, how she drew it up, right? And I ended up saying some law enforcement terms to her. She immediately started crying and was like, I would change the paperwork. I'm sorry. I didn't know these guys was like that. And I'm like, yes, you did. And so I threatened to basically, file charges with the feds where she would have lost her license to be an attorney. So then that's when I realized, like, damn, you got attorneys that be in on like, real estate fraud and, mortgage fraud and scams. So, and it's like most people, when you look at attorneys or you look at people that's clean cut suit wearing person, you think that they on the up and up. So one thing that I realized, right, is that those people are the ones that I'm gonna look at closely. The ones that well-spoken, wearing the suits and all that, you know what I'm saying? Because they look apart, you know what I'm saying? But they be hiding behind their corruption.
I'm sorry that first deal, and then it was still like it was a lesson in it. And that was, you said, prior to the trucking industry.
Yeah, so that was like you had the cars, then I go to real estate, and then even after real estate. So after that, man, my partner, he got me out of that situation. And then from there, I was like, I would never do business with somebody unless I really, really know them, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna get to know them. Like I gotta be able to walk in your house and sit at your table. And that's my motto. If I can't walk in your house and sit at your table, well, I look like, giving you 6 bands to do an investment deal with you. No, because I need to be able to come to your home and know, like that guy, I ain't know where he lived.
Going from Adam.
Yeah. And it's like, coming to find out the address he gave me where he lived, when I end up looking it up, it was just land. I was like, golly, like, what are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? I was so enticed about well-spoken, well-dressed. This guy talking about how he a millionaire, he do this, he do that. So I got caught up on that, on the hype. Now it's like, that don't move me. Because you say you got millions of dollars. That do not move me at all. Yeah.
Hey, man, lessons, bro. We ended up getting scammed when we was trying to get into real estate too, my brother. It wasn't like bands, but it was $3,500. Yeah, it was enough. Something that we didn't.
I ain't had it to lose at the time, but I lost it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But hey, it is what it is. Like it's always a lesson. So now I do want to get more back into the truck, and I'm sorry I wanted to do that quick segue just because I really like people to see people's progression through journeys whenever we had these podcasts. But so your brother, you helped him get the truck. You got the truck on the road. You gained the knowledge about the compliance and all that. So like, how was that initial venture? Like, how did that all work out?
Okay. Well, with me gaining the knowledge about the compliance and stuff, so I was able to keep my brother going. You know what I'm saying? I was able to keep him from, you know what I'm saying, experiencing stuff that new owners and stuff usually experience in the trucking industry, you know, from not being educated. So going in from an actually business standpoint, my little brother was successful at it, you know, from the business side, from the compliance side, he was successful at it because, I mean, he understood how to read EODs. He understood how to, you know, saying how to calculate his, you know, his time and all that. He understood, you know, the correct paperwork that you needed to have. He understood what you needed to have on your application, you know, how you interview somebody, almost basically how to, you know, run the back office of a trucking company. And so, you know, we went in unknowing that versus most people go in. I mean, when I say most, down at 95+% people get into trucking, they go in not knowing that at all. And so that's why it was a win-win, you know, for my little brother. And then the more and more he was out there, more people he was meeting, more and more people I started meeting. I'll go to conference and stuff. And I realized that as an African-American community of us getting in trucking, we really lack the knowledge of compliance. We lack that, you know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons why we lack that, because it's not pretty. Most of the people that write compliance and write the law, they hold a PhD. Most people that get in trucking, you know, they barely have eighth grade learning, you know what I'm saying? Eighth grade education, I mean. And because of that, you know, I was like, man, I got to figure out a way that I can, you know what I'm saying, help the people, you know, stay alive in trucking. Because you know, especially on social media, you start seeing a lot of people pushing, go get trucks. But it's like people scaling, buying trucks, but they're not scaling they level of education on how to run a company, stay in compliance and stuff like that. And you know, when you look at, you know, Fmcsa, you know, most of them people that's writing the laws, they are educated people. Most of the people that's getting in, they not educated people.
And I got one question. Like, so whenever, you know, we're talking about the compliance and everything, for someone who just got started or they've been in it for a while, what's some of the biggest mistakes you see some of these people making whenever they first getting into this industry?
Oh man, you have people you got some people that literally get into the industry, right? And they don't even know what type of application that they have to even have on file and that what have to be on the application. Something as simple as that. Can they hire somebody?
Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Okay, you know, what an application that you got to have on file, right? You got to ask for certain information. You know, you got to ask for at least 3 years of their employer, right? Their previous employer, at least 3 years of that. You got to, you know, 3 years of their actual driving history with their violations and stuff. And then of course, you know, you got your standard, you know, they read their previous residencies and stuff like that. So once you obtain the last 3 years of their employers, you have so many days within the day that you got that application where you have to reach out to those employers, you know, and you have to make an attempt, you know, give it, you know, they say great fate, but they don't necessarily say 3 attempts, but they say great fate within the 30-day period. So I tell people 3 attempts, showing that you reached out to them, so you can get information about that particular driver that you're hiring, and you want to get like their safety performance history from their previous company.
And you mentioned in there before that you said Fmcsa. I want people to know who that is, because I don't know what the acronym is. So who is Fmcsa?
Federal Motor Carrier Safety Alliance. Those are the people that actually regulate trucking. They write the laws. They do everything. If you anything to do with trucking, they the laws, the regulations, everything. you get your DOT, all that US DOT number. You get your authority. You do everything through Fmcsa.
Okay, and yeah, that's why I guess kind of the next question that I had for you was, like, for somebody that is just getting started or somebody that would want to get into this industry, like, what would be some of the steps that they would take to make sure that they're getting everything lined up correctly and they remain in compliance?
The biggest steps, if you want to know what those large companies do, they end up finding people like myself or companies that specialize in compliance. They can keep them, you know what I'm saying, in compliance, because there's no way in heck that you going, like, if you running a trucking company, right, and you got one truck and just doing the back office, that's like a whole job by itself. You know, the compliance, the back office, that's a whole job by itself. That ain't even talking about, you booking your own loads. That ain't even talking about you trying to manage your drivers while they out there on the road, and you looking at ELDs and all that. That's like literally ELD is an electronic logging device. That's basically when you out there and you're on the road driving, you have a certain amount of time that you are able to drive in a day.
The trucking companies, they go to compliance people to make sure that they have their papers and all that good stuff in line.
And most of the ones that want to be successful, they make people like me and my team they best friend. Yeah, they like, hey, I need to have you on speed dial. Yeah.
Like with the compliance, because I know we had talked about it like the other day, like you told me there's some people they losing, like they might make 20, 30 bands a month, but once they get hit with some of these fees, like you can go negative really, really quickly. Can we talk about some of these fees that you could get hit with that would actually mess up your whole business model?
Example, right? You out on the road. Like I had a actually, I'm scenario today. I had a buddy. He got stopped. His tire on his trailer, the inside tire, it was less than the PSIs on the sidewall, and basically it was deemed as inflated, and it was an out of service tire, right? And guess what? 9 times out of 10, all this guy needed to do was just air that tire up some, and then he'd be back rolling. So they put him out of service. So one, with them put him out of service, right? He got a load on his truck. Now he's not gonna make it to that load to deliver it on time. So 9 times out of 10, that load may have to get pushed back to the next day, or it may not be able to get delivered the next day. It may get pushed back to 4-5 days from the day that's supposed to be delivered. So guess what? Now you can't even make money. You stuck on this load. The broker didn't fine you because you didn't make the delivery on time, and then you didn't got fined by DOT roadside from having that inflated tire, right? And then now you got to call for roadside assistance to come out to air that tire and or change that tire. They're gonna automatically bill you probably $200-300 just from coming out there. And then if they do come out there, right, and they need to change that tire, right, because they come to you and they know you need their tire, right, they're gonna tax you. A tire that you can probably get for $250, you're gonna probably pay $500 for.
Because you needed to make that load.
Yeah, you need it. You need it to move around. In addition to that, now you got this inspection report that was performed on you by DOT. They put you out of service. They put that on your company's profile. Now you got brokers later on down the line. They don't even want to give you work because they saying, yo, you got put out of service. Your safety score is high. Now it come up time for you to actually renew your insurance. Your insurance see that. So now they want to charge you higher on renewal. They want to ask you for an extra down payment. Now you got a driver that worked for you. He pissed because he like, man, this could have been prevented. Or he feel like that you as an owner, you ain't done nothing to try to move this truck. They already know if they ain't delivering loads, they ain't getting paid money. You know what I'm saying? They get paid off the loads or, how many miles, a percent, miles. So now they pissed. So now it's potential that you could lose a driver. So it's like a domino effect. So you look up, right? That one incident can potentially cost you $5,000-6,000. Now on the front end,
on the
front end, you're gonna have to probably pay, about $500 to have them come out and switch out that tire, right? But then later on, what people don't talk about is they don't talk about how many people may reject you later on. You may call in and to get a $2,000 load, they're paying $4 a mile. And then they tell you, oh man, we seen that you just recently got inspected and put out of service. Nah. Now you done lost out on $4 a mile, $2,000 load. So that's the stuff that don't get advertised on how important safety is when you out there and knowing how to properly inspect your truck, knowing how to keep your paperwork up. Like you got Fmcsa that have violations and fines where if you got paperwork issue, right? And just say, for instance, you started your company and you didn't even interview your driver and have him fill out an application.
You just put them in the truck.
You just put them in the truck, right? And all of a sudden they audit you 6 months later. They can, if they want to, they can potentially fine you $1,300 a day.
God damn.
A day. For that error.
Is it like can it cap off how much they can fine you?
No,
Is it?
Ain't no cap. Ain't no cap. Let's not talk about a fatality accident, right? Yeah. Your company made millions of dollars, right? You done made $1 million last year. Now all of a sudden you hire this driver, boom, the driver get into a fatality accident, right? Most of these insurance policies out here, Fmcsa require you have $750,000 policy, right? Most of these brokers, they require you have $1 million policy, right? A lot of these companies like Amazon and stuff like that, they require you have a $2 million policy, right? Do you think you killing somebody was all they gonna get is $2 million or $1 million?
Hell no.
They're gonna sue you for a lot more than that.
Right,
took
right.
The breadwinner, especially out of the family.
Right. So guess what happened? They sue you. Because remind you that insurance that insurance policy you have, it cap out at $1 million or $2 million. So now if you didn't get sued for 5 million, 6 million, that come out of you. That come out of you. So now for the rest of your life, every income tax you try to file, your return go to that family.
And this all falls on the owner, not the driver.
No, it fall on. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff will fall on the driver too, if they want to deem that you was being negligent. Well, and you can face up to jail time. Yeah.
You touched on another thing in there too. I always see them when we pass on, like you're driving on the interstate, those inspection places. Can you talk more about like what actually goes down for an inspection for one of these vehicles?
Yeah. Okay. They pull you in, right? First and foremost, they're gonna ask you for your paperwork. Your paperwork inside your binder, they're gonna ask you, they're gonna look at your truck and trailer registration paperwork, make sure that this stuff is up to date. They're gonna look at your truck and trailer inspection paperwork, make sure that the stuff is up to date and that you have the correct inspection. Because you got some people out here, they just go get a state inspection when you need a federal inspection. They have a code on it that say CFR like 390 some. But it have to be that particular inspection. So it's two different type of inspections. When you go get a regular state inspection, that's not a correct inspection. So you would be held, basically, that would be two different violations. So just FYI, right? So from there, then they're going to look at your ELDs. Typically, they go back 7 days from the day that they stop you. They want to make sure that you have that you're in compliance with everything within your ELDs. If you got a truck and trailer number, that have to be recorded inside the ELDs. You carrying a load, you got a bill of lading, that bill of lading number have to be recorded inside the ELDs. And then it's a bunch of prompts and stuff, right? And that stuff had to be filled out. If your bill of lading say you're going from Dallas to Houston, on your ELD you have a to and from location. You got to have that inputted, right? If you don't have that inputted, that's a violation.
Hey, I remember. I know one word that you just said, the bill of lading, because I used to work at this at a port, and we would mess with the fracking sand. So we had the belly dump trucks, and I remember I used to have to record that. That's like one of the only things I remember, that damn term. But I was working like night shifts and stuff over there.
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of information that have to be in there, right? In the bill of lading. And then in addition to that, the ELD, that system is actually hooked up to your engine. So it's capturing data. It's capturing data, right? So when it's capturing that data, the government, they come in, the auditors come in, they audit your company, and forbid if you was in a serious accident or something, they're gonna ask for that information. So if your driver is out there and speed limit shows 60 miles per hour, and that ELD is captioned that the speed limit was 60, and your driver's going 75, even though he never got stopped, right? And it's showing him at 75 and a 60. The ELD is capturing that. So now that the auditors come in on the back end, they like, damn, your driver, that's all he do is speed.
Another fine.
God damn.
You got to be careful with who you are in this industry.
Oh yeah. And they fines, I mean, they got fines as high as $15,000 I done seen people literally make $1 million and turn around and have a $250,000 fine where they paying the government monthly just to stay in business. Because they got to pay off that fine. That fine is a civil fine. So that's why I preach how important it is to educate yourself about safety and compliance. And in addition to that, if you go to Fmcsa website, they don't talk about scaling a company. They don't talk about buying trucks.
They just talk about the rules.
They just talk law. They talk about the law. And they know that a lot of people gonna get into this industry and they're gonna jump in it and they're not gonna be educated. They already know, the average driver got an eighth grade, education. The people that write the laws have PhDs. Come on, man. In addition to that, it's a business. At the end of the day, government is still a business. So yeah, they're gonna make it real simple, easy to get in, but they're gonna make it hard to stay in though.
You mentioned something. I believe what was the figure you said specifically? How many trucking businesses end up failing in the first few years?
Like 85%, they go out of business within the first 2 years. Like 85% of trucking companies. Yep.
That's
jump
crazy.
in, and a lot of folks nowadays, social media is really blowing it up. Truck, go get a truck, go get a truck, go get a truck, go get a truck.
You can make a bunch of money.
You can make a bunch of money with a truck. Yeah. Yeah. When people tell you that they made $100,000 in a month, right? And all they had was 5 trucks, that's a lie.
They're talking gross.
Yeah. Yeah. They're talking gross. That's a gross number. So like, for instance, I'll give you an example. There's been times where I did 30,000. Then all I walked away with was 8. Yeah. I just had a good friend of mine that she had 4 trucks that went into the shop the other day, and her balance was down at 19,000 on 4 trucks.
God damn.
It's a big money industry, but it's a lot of
big boy industry, man.
It's a lot of expenses associated with this industry. So
yes.
Now I want to ask you, so like as a person in the trucking industry, what do you say like it would be like a wise savings figure? Because you a saver yourself, like for those types of expenses. Because these trucks, they gonna break. Like it's gonna have some issues. You might have drivers with these fines. Like, what do you think is a good rule of thumb to save from?
Folks, the cost of an overhaul of an engine. If your engine go out, it typically gonna cost you between 10 to 20,000 to get fixed. So give or take, I always tell a person, try to have about 25 bands in a savings account for any type of situation that occur.
Now, for somebody starting out that is just getting into it, how do you think they like save a certain percentage or something like that of each haul, or like how would you do that?
Just pay yourself like an employee. Pay yourself and then put everything back. So, give or take, like I would use myself as an example. I would just pay myself $500 a week per truck. And then everything else I just put back into the company. And then from there, you just, you bonus yourself every quarter. You just bonus yourself. So you see what the company then done over 3-4 month span, and then you just pay yourself a bonus. And then that way, you always stand ahead of the game. You want to stay, 2 and 3, steps ahead of the game. You don't want to, be out here spending all your money, because people they got to understand this. Every time that truck starts and move, it's getting older. So if you made 100,000 in 2020, 2021, you may make only 80,000, because that truck may have to go in the shop a lot more. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You may start having issues with the driver. He not, coming to work or stuff like that. So every year your truck you're going to depreciate. Even your income going to depreciate.
So how long do you typically keep a truck? Like how long does a truck normally last? Because we know sometimes, depending on your haul, sometimes you got to go coast to coast. Sometimes you driving like 16, 12 hours. My stepdad, he's a truck driver. Yeah. Every week he going to Wisconsin or somewhere.
Typically with most trucks, they say you're going to get at least 1 million miles. I mean, honestly, you got trucks. No, 1 million, like
altogether.
Altogether. Oh, yeah, okay. You get like 1 million miles. So, give or take, I just tell people that it all depends on the person himself and the person that's driving that truck, how you service and maintenance your truck, how you do preventive maintenance. Because I know people that, they trucks and stuff, they've been riding over 1 million miles right now, and they hadn't had to do anything to the engine, anything like that. They had breakdowns, but it wasn't nothing, out of the norm. It was like the normal truck breakdowns where you're gonna spend 4 and 5, 6,000. In addition to that, shit, hey, if you ever get broke down over the road, man, just understand that you about to get taxed, especially if you black.
Damn. Can we talk about some of those normal expenses? Because once again, I used to work at Napa, and my Napa, it was a truck. Like we service the truck stuff, so I know that some of the stuff is you got your boosters. You had to get the boosters, the airbags. You got some of your what is they call them damn governors and all of that other
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Like, so what's some of the normal expenses you can expect though on just a truck working?
Most of the normal expenses is gonna be your oil changes, your belts, your fluids, um, um, your tires, definitely your tires and stuff like that. Those are just like normal, normal wear and tear, that you're gonna deal with. Occasionally, you have your airlines and stuff, that you may have to, basically fix from time to time, air pressure airlines. But them tires and stuff, you just can't really escape that stuff. You look up a set of tires, just say what 2, 4, 6, 8, shit cost you down there like 16, almost $2,000.
Sheesh.
But
God damn.
it's the cost of doing business. And I'm glad we speaking on this because that's what people need to know if they want to get into this industry and they want to stay there, because you can't come in here thinking like, and this is just a business thing in general. You can hear a business making 20, 30, $40,000 a month. The person that's running this business is not taking $40,000 and putting that shit in their pocket. You need to understand that like it's going to be expenses associated with business. And you got to look at your profit margin, and then even from your profit margin, you can't take all the profits and put them in your pockets. That's not a sustainable business.
Right. And most of the time, give or take, I tell a person for every 5 trucks, your take home should be about $250,000 for every 5 trucks after you paying expenses and all that. Saying you should walk away with about $200,000 to about $250,000 for every 5 trucks.
And that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And my next question is, so you said, if that person wants to stay in compliance, that they need to find a person like you or a compliance company. Where would they go to find this? Is like once you sign up for the industry, they're like, hey, look, this is a compliance company. Go get with these people. Or is this some knowledge that they're not given, but you have to navigate and figure out, okay, this is something I need?
Most of the time they end up realizing it right when and they first get that first audit, the new entry audit, and then they realize that they have some deficiencies going on when it come into their back offices and actually the compliance part of it. And in addition to that, when you actually over the road, you start meeting DOT, you stopping at these scale houses, you learn real fast that, oh wow, it's a lot of stuff I didn't know, so, and then from there you realize that, hey, they have stuff out here that can actually help me out, that deal with compliance. Some you got some DOT officers that where, they would give you a heads up like, hey man, you should look into this company or call this person. You got some of them out here, they would do that to try to help you out to stay in business.
That's crazy, man. I just think like this FMCSA shit busts in my head because I literally thought it was just the Department of Transportation that was over the whole trucking industry.
No, Department of Transportation is just like a segment of it, you know what I'm saying? But it's FMCSA that actually governs the transportation industry.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was just DOTD too. I was just like, damn, man. Cause I always would hear like truckers coming. Oh man,
I got my DOT number.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get stopped by them, man.
Hey, most people that don't want to get stopped by DOT, they don't want to get stopped because they know they ain't got their stuff together. Because if you're a company out there, right, DOT, FMCSA, they require you have an incentive program within your company. So what I mean by an incentive program is just like you have a disciplinary program. If somebody do something, how you gonna discipline them and you gonna probably get them a fine or write them up. They want to know that, hey, you have an incentive program, whereas if your driver gets stopped by DOT and they pass level 1 inspection, you may give $100. They pass level 2, you may get 75. A level 3, you may get 50. Then that way, it's like you motivating them to be on their stuff and take safety serious. So they want to know that you got that stuff implemented within your company.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was definitely another question that I was going to ask. Like, how do you because some stuff is some stuff that the owner can't take care of. Like if this driver, they didn't drove, they on their load, and they didn't made it like 3 states over, then they get stopped because of the tire pressure. That's nothing that I done. Like I was, hey man, make sure you do this. But that incentive program, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it make a whole lot of sense, especially around the holidays. You have some drivers, they purposely try to get stopped. Because you look up, they get stopped 3 or 4 times in 1 week, and then and it's all level ones. That's $500 bonus on their check.
Damn, how you purposely get stopped? What you got to do?
Basically, you can walk up to DOT and drive up on them. Find a scale, especially when you ride these highways and like you may go on, just say you're going southbound, right? And you see the northbound scales open. Then all of a sudden, you circle around. Like, man, I'm finna go and dip back around, go northbound. So I could purposely pull through the scale, get that free $100, and then circle back around, go back south. You got people to do that. And you look up every week, they get an extra $300 to $500 on their check because they getting stopped.
Damn.
And then finessing the system.
Man.
Hey, if you a truck driver, if you ain't know.
Yeah, finesse the system.
Hey, that's hard.
Yep.
That's pressure.
So I'm trying to think, was that so? I mean, you got into the industry with your brother. Like, what did expanding in that look like?
Me, I just wanted to expand as far as actually educating people. And especially when I started seeing a lot of us started really, really jumping in trucking through social media. So I felt that it was a need to really, really educate the people. Firsthand experience, me actually being involved, and getting my teaching from the actual, government and stuff like that. So I just wanted to really, really, just educate the people. And so, but far as expanding, I started having a lot of friends and family that wanted to get into trucking. So I just started helping them, get into trucking and opening their own businesses and growing from there.
With that, like, what's the outlook on the industry? Because I know it's some crazy stuff that's coming, especially with Biden. Yeah, like especially with Biden and some of the regulations that they're trying to pass on just like the whole energy sector and like coal and all of this. Like, what's some of the things that people who, if they're wanting to get in this industry, that they should start to think about for the future?
If you want to get into this industry, you need to develop a team. Figure out, who you can get to help you actually run that company. And I say give or take, 2 to 4 people starting off. And then from there, get educated. Don't just jump in. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on the regulations, understanding what is required of you to actually run a company. I'm like, trucking is one of the only industries where I see people get in and they just disregard that you got, you got compliance that you have to obey by. You have to follow. You know what I'm saying? You get into the home health industry, what happened? They say that you have to, compliance is a big thing in that industry, right? But
paperwork and all that.
Yeah. But people get into the trucking and they don't even think about that at all. So educate yourself, find you a mentor, somebody that's actually doing trucking and done it at a high level. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that helped me out is the fact that I was, dealing with old school people that have been in it in 25 and 30 years that own 15, 20, and 30 trucks. People that drove for companies that won, they drove over 1 million miles and never had an accident. They was a safety person, within that company, or, they help people and coach people to, having a successful trucking company. So just make sure you put yourself around people that actually doing it. Like, don't just listen to somebody tell you what they done. Physically see that they own those trucks, that they have an actual company, that they got an actual team of people, they got, 5 and 6 employees or drivers and all that. Physically see that. Don't sit back, ask me, is it okay if I can come to your establishment? Because there's nothing like firsthand experience. You go to the establishment and then you see that, hey, they really legit. They got 30 trucks. They got 30 drivers. They got cousin that do the HR. They got mother that do this. So physically see what people doing. Don't just see some stuff. Saying that's on social media. I ask people like, yo, can I fly out to your facility? I'll come to your facility. Show me firsthand what you're doing daily before you actually just allow somebody to mentor you, before you actually, take your hard-earned money and buy information, stuff like that, man. Just literally find the people that specialize in stuff that's actually doing it. And then from there, then you dive in, or you ask for mentorship.
Great. Yeah, gems.
Keys to the game, my brother. Eric, man, this has been a great time. You've been giving game on this compliance part. I done learned a lot with this. Jalen, you got any other questions?
No, I just wanted you to repeat the website that they can go to if they would like to start looking into and start learning about it. Because I ain't gonna lie, I don't remember the acronym, but I know you got it.
Fmcsa. If you can Google Fmcsa, you can follow me on social media on IG. I post a lot of great content at Truck Estates with STRUCKESTA. ESTATES Truck Estates.
And we're gonna have it down in the show notes for y'all for sure.
Yeah.
But Eric, bro, I do have one last question for you. We're gonna pivot to the last segment of our show. This is one of our favorite segments. So we want to ask you, man, what's on your timeline? What's something you see on social media, the news, anything that you just want to speak on? It could be anything, my brother.
I love the fact of how Black America are making themselves more educated far as when it comes to money, financial literacy, when it comes to just betting on themselves, how you do see a lot of people encouraging one another through social media platforms, a lot of positive energy on social media platforms. I do. I really, really admire that. I really, really like it, but then at the same time, I'm like, reality ain't just so gravy neither.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of the things like that. Yes, I'm gonna post, I may post 10 positive feeds, but then I'm gonna throw some negative in there because that's just a part of life. It's not that I'm negative, but I just want to try to be authentic as I can, with people that, saying that's out here. And I just say that, if you got a platform, man, really, really use it, especially when you got a big following. People believe in you. People trust your word, your judgment. And you may be getting over if you are utilizing your platform wrong, but God, he see what you're doing. And if you lose it all one day, if you get sick or somebody die in your family, and just understand that, God gonna make you feel that pain that somebody else then felt because you did them wrong by using a platform that he gave you. He gave you to use that platform in his name, not your name.
Now that's a gem. I gotta hit it.
Message.
Man, I appreciate you, brothers, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my brother. And like what you just said, though, that's real facts. Like a lot of people, they'll build up these platforms and stuff. They just, I just need to get however many followers. I just want the swipe up link so I can do all of this. But they do it for the wrong reasons instead of really just being a resource and really helping people out.
Yes. I also like the idea of sharing not all just the
pretty.
Yeah, the pretty side. Everything ain't pretty.
No,
life ain't sweet.
It ain't.
Everybody that's listening to this know life ain't sweet. You have good days, you got bad days. Everything go the same way. It's ups and downs.
My day started off terrible, y'all.
This guy's having a terrible day.
And I ain't even gonna lie to you. I ain't really say nothing, but some shit happened to me today. Right. But it's all good.
We got to keep it pushing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Eric, my brother, like we were saying, we appreciate you. Once again, can you give the people your information so they can follow you on social media, tap in with you if they're interested in getting the compliance services from you? Can you let them know how they can get with you, my brother?
You can get with me at you can email me at truckestateonline@gmail.com, truckestateonline@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at truckestates with an S. Right now I'm in the process of getting my website redone, and in due time it'll be back up and functioning. But right now you can, if you want to get with me about compliance or whatnot, I have a link on my page where you can schedule a one-on-one, book a one-on-one with me. And then from there, I would see how I can best serve you. If I can't serve you, I would tell you. I'm not about taking your money. I would tell you, like, look, you already know what you're doing. Let me give you these 3 or 4 gems to add to what you got going, and send somebody else to me that may you be able to utilize me, because you're doing well at what you do. Excuse me. So I kind of do like an assessment of people. Yeah, and then send them on by their business. If I feel that they don't need my services, like, hey, don't waste your money. You don't need my services.
Hey, that's real. Can't just be about getting the dollar. It's all about helping the people, man.
Right.
Once again, my brother,
Thank you.
thank you
Yeah,
for coming on this
Thank you,
thing,
brother.
dog.
definitely want to say thank you.
We're going to hop into a couple of house cleaning items, wrap this thing up. Once again, everybody, thank y'all for listening to the Black Wolf Renaissance podcast. Thank you for tuning in week in, week out. If y'all rocking with us, leave a rating and review. Jalen, what you got for him, man?
Man, y'all definitely tap into the Podcasters Playbook. It is our new course we just released. We've been doing this for 2 years now. So if y'all been listening to us, y'all know how we started off. Y'all know how terrible our audio quality was from the beginning. Y'all know like what really happened. But throughout this process, I just really put in all of the information that we learned. We bought equipment that we shouldn't have bought, and some things that we didn't need to do. But I put all of that into this course just so you don't have to make some of these mistakes, and really just help you understand and learn about the podcasting industry. I'll be teaching you how to monetize, edit, market, and really just make a great podcast. So y'all definitely tap into that. Get it below, link in the show notes.
Yeah. Y'all go listen to episode 1 if y'all haven't. My brother is not lying. Our audio was terrible. Ooh, Jesus. Oh, that was bad. We done came a long way.
Hell yeah.
Hey, what was that movie with Terrence Howard?
You talking about Hustle and Flow?
Hustle and Flow. They had the Hustle and Flow going on.
Nah, for real though.
it was bad, homie. But yeah, y'all. On that note, this is David with Black Wolf Renaissance signing out.
Peace.
I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.